So, what happens when one of the world's fastest growing tech hubs, a city literally buzzing with innovation, runs headfirst into a massive environmental crisis? Well, today we're going to look at Bengaluru's ambitious blueprint for clean air and see how the city plans to breathe again. You know, when you picture Bengaluru, this is probably what comes to mind: a vibrant, sprawling metropolis, what everyone calls India's Silicon Valley. It's this global engine of progress, a total magnet for talent and investment. On the surface, it's the perfect picture of modern success. But of course, that kind of explosive growth has a shadow side. Every new building, every new car, every single new resident, it all puts a strain on the city. And it forces us to ask a really crucial question: what's the hidden cost of all this success? And that gets us to what we'll call Bangalore's growth paradox. It's this core tension between the city's incredible expansion and its environmental health. I mean, the sheer speed of this change is just staggering. Just look at this. In a single decade, the city's population just exploded by almost 50%. That's over 4 million new people. To put that in perspective, that's like adding the entire population of Los Angeles in just 10 years. That's the kind of scale we're talking about here. And you can imagine that kind of rapid, often unplanned growth creates just immense pressure. It strains the infrastructure, it eats away at precious green spaces, and most critically for our story today, it puts a really heavy burden on the quality of the air that everyone has to breathe. So you can't fix a problem if you don't really understand it, right? First, you've got to decode the city's air, and that's exactly where science steps in to play detective. The key tool they used is something called source apportionment, and it's a fantastic concept. It's basically environmental forensics. Scientists grab samples of polluted air, and then they chemically break them down to trace the pollutants all the way back to their exact origins.
Pretty cool, huh?
And this chart right here, this shows the results of that detective work. A huge study analyzed particulate matter, that's PM10, all across the city. Think of this as the case file. Each of those tall bars is a different monitoring spot, and the colored bits show where the pollution is coming from. You can see, for example, that big gray chunk at the bottom, that's construction dust, and that huge pink section, transportation. This is the hard evidence that points the finger directly at the biggest offenders. And when you crunch all that data together, the picture becomes crystal clear. The number one culprit? Transportation. It's making up a massive 40% of the problem. Then you add in road dust and construction dust, and you've got three sources responsible for 75%, 3/4 of the city's particulate pollution. Okay, the enemy was identified. So, with the evidence in hand, the city needed a plan of attack, and that plan is called BCAP. It's the city's official, data-driven response to this whole crisis. And here it is, the Bengaluru Climate Action and Resilience Plan, or BCAP for short. Now, this isn't just another policy paper that's going to sit on a shelf. It's a comprehensive strategy, and it's designed to systematically attack the exact pollution sources that the scientific study found. The plan's got a really clear timeline. It started back in 2021, officially launched in late 2023, but its sights are set on a hugely ambitious long-term goal for Bangalore to hit net zero emissions by 2050. I mean, that's a fundamental transformation in less than 3 decades. And in its own words, the plan's objective is pretty clear. It's not just about cutting emissions. It's also about adapting to climate change and making sure the city is resilient, that it can handle future climate shocks. And the whole thing is supposed to be based on data and inclusive strategies. All right, so how does this plan actually work? Well, think of it as a sector-by-sector attack plan, connecting the dots between the problems they found and the solutions they came up with. First up, the biggest piece of the pie. Remember that chart? The C-STEP study showed that transportation is the single largest source of that nasty PM10 pollution. So naturally, it's target number 1 for BCAP. And BCAP's solution is, well, it's aggressive. The plan aims for a massive shift to public transport and a near-total switch of private cars and buses to clean energy. Even freight trucks aren't spared. This is a full-scale overhaul of how the entire city moves. Next target on the list, waste. In a megacity like this, unmanaged solid waste is a huge problem. It contributes to pollution through landfill emissions and, of course, illegal open burning. The solution here is just as ambitious. It starts with 100% waste segregation at the source. We're talking in homes and businesses. The long-term goals are to basically get rid of landfills as we know them by diverting over 90% of waste and capturing the harmful gases from what's left. It's all about creating a circular system. And finally, the third major area. Now, while transportation is the biggest source of that particulate gunk in the air, the energy and building sector, well, that's the #1 source of greenhouse gas emissions, the stuff that's driving climate change. So the plan attacks this on multiple fronts. The biggest push is to decarbonize the electricity grid itself, aiming for almost 90% non-fossil fuels. But it also targets how much energy we use, pushing for more efficient buildings and appliances. It even goes into the home with a plan to transition the city to clean cooking fuels. So when you put all these plans together, transportation, waste, energy, they all point in one direction, the road to net zero. After seeing all the problems and the strategies, where is this all heading? It all comes down to this one number, 2050. That's the target year. That's the finish line for all these ambitious goals. And it's the city's commitment to a fundamentally different future. So when you put it all together, you can see BCAP is way more than just a policy document. It's a blueprint, a detailed, data-backed vision for transforming Bengaluru into a low-carbon, climate-resilient city. And that leaves us with the final and most critical question. The blueprint is there, the science is clear, the goals are set. But, turning a blueprint into an actual building, that's the real test. Can Bengaluru actually bring together government policy, corporate industry, and its nearly 13 million citizens to build this cleaner, more resilient future? The answer to that question is going to determine the city's legacy.